What's good, y'all? I've got some pretty significant reworks, and yes, despite the big red minus 100, minus 75, these are still buffs. So I've got some pretty significant buffs and changes for the Blissey and Chansey line. All right. So this is a ROM hack. It's not balanced for competitive play, and because of that, they have a lot. They just function a lot differently. One of the main reasons I dropped their HP is because I try to base HP more on the size of the Pokemon in this hack. I do make some exceptions. This is one of them because Blissey is not 180 base HP sized. It is 180 base HP because it's fucking Blissey. And if you run the calcs, its physical defense is actually significant. Like on the physical side, it's significantly bulkier than it used to be because it has an actual defense stat. So 180, 60, 150, it's super tanky, right? And Chansey is incredibly bulky, even despite the minus 100 HP, because of the fact that it still holds a Violate and because of that big defense boost. I believe especially it might be slightly less bulky overall, but then on the physical side, it's much bulkier. They also have new resistances because they're part fairy. Yes, that doesn't mean they have new weaknesses, but obviously the part fairy typing fits them really well, so I'm not even going to bother explaining why there. And they have really nice abilities, which I'll get into in a little bit. Lots of new ways to abuse Serene Grace, and then Super Luck with Lucky Punch is super cool. They also have a signature move in Soft Boiled, which has 3 PP, heals you by 100% HP, and it's priority, right? It's a pretty crazy move. That's one of the main reasons I was trying to say there's more to it than just, oh, I dropped their HP. Like, oh, Blissey OP. It's not OP, all right? And a hack like this, if I left Blissey unchanged, it would be fine. I mean, it would just be a nice special sponge to deal with a lot of the crazy offensive shit in the hack. If you want to go ahead and use it vanilla-wise, then you can do that. But I think the rework is a lot more interesting, and it makes them a lot more fun to use, especially because of that Lucky Punch on Chansey. That's the only reason I would ever want to use these guys, because I'm not going to lie, not the biggest fan of their designs. I think they're pretty boring, but yeah, Misty Surge is also useful despite the fact that it doesn't boost your fairy type moves. It does have utility in that it will in that it will override other terrains, first of all, because there are about a dozen Pokemon of each terrain ability now, not to mention Grassy Terrain, Electric Terrain are TMs that you can use to activate abilities Grassy Guard and Volt Rush, so terrain in general is a lot more important, so, you know, overriding that is good. Preventing Status is actually probably the most niche use of Misty Surge in-game in this ROM hack, because not that the AI doesn't have status moves, because they will, but it's not super common. I would say it's more just so you don't have to worry about getting hacked from like an additional effective move, but in terms of literally using straight up T-Wave, the AI will like very rarely do that, at least major boss fights, because paralysis is a lot less useful when the AI is just clicking it randomly versus when they are intentionally paralyzing a Pokemon that should be paralyzed. You know, like it's not the same as like a real 66 competitive singles match where paralyzing something for the whole match is important. Burn is a little more useful for the AI, like, you know, Will-O-Wisp every once in a while will show up, but in general, Misty Surge, the main use is overriding other terrains, activating Nature Power, which is now, you know, a TM that a lot of Pokemon, well, it was already a TM, but it's a TM that a lot of Pokemon get now, and they can use that to summon Moonblast, which is pretty cool. If they don't get Fairy type coverage otherwise, they can use Moonblast with Nature Power, and you can also half the damage of Dragon type moves, which sounds niche because you're a Fairy type, but you have to keep in mind that you have 5 other Pokemon, right? So having the damage of Dragon type moves is a super useful thing when there are tons of new Dragon type moves, which are all extremely powerful in this ROM hack. I mean, all the Dragon type moves are heavily buffed, and Dragon Fang also gives a free 30% boost to Dragon, because I did want Dragon to be a lot better, especially because Ice now resists Dragon. It all kind of balances out, but yeah, Dragon is always, especially now, a really great offensive type just because of the powerful moves and stuff, and having that half damage effect with Misty Surge is very useful. And yeah, of course, the main use is overriding other terrain. So it's not like Misty Surge is useless, and of course, Serene Grace is very nice to hack things. You can flinch things with stuff like Hoodwink. You can paralyze them a body slam, although I would just click T-Wave personally. Blissey can be a great pivot with Volt Switch, which is widely distributed in this hack. I opted not to give them Parting Shot, although I do give Parting Shot to like 80% of the decks. I don't really see it on Blissey. I think they're too like kind-hearted to use that move. Although they did learn to Confide in Vanilla and a couple other moves like that, but I don't know. I just personally didn't really see Parting Shot on them. So that's super cool, and that Chansey is actually really powerful, which is funny, with Super Luck and Lucky Punch. Obviously, without the Violate, you're not taking physical hits very well at all. So you're only going to ever use that Super Luck, you know, Lucky Punch set if you're fighting a special attacker that's in front of you. And what you can do is you can use 100% crit moves especially. So 80 base special attack is already pretty respectable. If you use that with any move, when you always crit, it's actually going to deal a good amount of damage. But the main benefit is moves like Hyper Beam and Flare Cannon, which will drop your special attack stat by 2. Those are 160 or 150 base power respectively. So you can spam Hyper Beam and Flare Cannon and go to town with that super lucky punch and actually deal some pretty good damage. It's a bit of a meme, but it's kind of funny. Obviously, no Violate though, so you should only use that on special attackers, or if you EV to live a specific physical attack and kill them or whatever. You do have that soft boiled though, so that does give you really good longevity. So you can use super lucky punch plus soft boiled, and you don't need the Violate. You can take a physical hit, not well, but you'll take it. You actually, it's not terrible. 150-40 is not bad at all. I don't think people are going to realize how much of a difference 40 base defense is over like 10 or 5. Like, it's a big difference. Obviously, the HP is a big difference too when it comes to special defense, but first of all, there's a million other special tanks in this hack, and number 2, these guys are probably still up there in terms of the bulkiest special defense mons overall, not counting like Sandstream mons. They're definitely still up there because 180, 150 is still pretty damn crazy. And of course, that fairy typing gives into resistances, especially I was going to say one to bug, but I lied. Fairy doesn't resist bug anymore, so it's just, what is it? Fighting is neutral. I think, oh yeah, you only gain weaknesses as a normal fairy type, I believe, right? You don't get any resistances. Dark is one. I knew there was one. Is it just dark though? Because normally it's just dark fighting and then you're immune to dragon. Yeah. And bug also, but they don't resist bug anymore. So yeah, look, I'm getting off on side tangents, but my point is, this is not a nerf to Blissey. I wouldn't say it's like an objective buff, like they're not better, they just function way differently. I mean, I would say they're better because of the moves, but every Pokemon gets moves like this. Besides Soft Boiled, which is, again, a pretty damn crazy move. You can also like Baton Pass stuff really nicely, which is also negative priority, so that can be a good pivot if you don't want to use Volt Switch, or if you're trying to pivot out on a ground type, you can use Baton Pass as like a pseudo teleport, which is pretty cool. Soft Boiled is super great. Obviously, Wish Support is still great because you don't have access to healing items in this hack. You can use that to support your allies. Serenade makes the opponent drowsy. That's super useful on these guys because of how bulky they are. Dreamy Kiss is an 85% accurate sleep move that'll always last for 2 turns. Again, Tri Attack with Serene Grace is pretty damn nutty. Tri Attack with Serene Grace will, I believe it has a 54% chance overall to either burn, paralyze, or freeze. So that's pretty nuts. And it's also strong. The Harmonize and Disarming Voice are great utility moves. Those drop attack and special attack by 1. Same for Water Pulse. Yeah, they've got a lot of really annoying things they can do. You can still, you can still T-Wave plus Hoodwink / Iron Head spam and Paraflinch things to death. You can do all types of annoying things with Chansey and Blissey. They still are great Pokemon. Tickle is really useful. Charm, Befriend are all really useful utility moves. Yeah, these guys can shut down a lot of the offensive threats in the hack. They're great. Checks to a lot of the strong Pokemon. They can actually do some damage back themselves. Not like anything crazy, but good enough, especially with the high base power moves and the high amounts of coverage options that you can easily teach. Yeah, if you're wondering why I didn't give them any other abilities, it's probably because they overlapped with another normal fairy type that I think needed debuffs more. For example, like Fur Coat on Delcatty. Not that I would give fucking Blissey Fur Coat, but Fluffy on Wigglytuff, which needs it more than Blissey would. Triage no longer exists, otherwise I would have given them Triage. Audino has Regenerator, so a lot of the abilities that are like quote unquote really good are taken up. So the Mandalore here is just the raw stats. The abilities are kind of a secondary thought here. Not that they're bad, they're just kind of a, it's whatever. It's super lucky punch is pretty funny. So Ring Grace is really annoying and actually really worthwhile, especially with also Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam with Serene Grace has a 50% chance to give a special attack boost, so that's pretty cool too. Yeah, that's really about it. I don't know what else to say. Heart Swap is priority, and that will swap, stat changes. Obviously in a competitive sense, that's ridiculously broken and stupid, but this isn't competitive. The AI will only be setting up every once in a while, so mainly Heart Swap is actually for the AI to use against you to prevent you from setting up. Not that it's bad, it's good for totems especially, like you can Heart Swap like Totem Mimikyu, for example, and then they're basically the shutdown. Not shut down, but they're doing a lot less damage and they're a lot less bulky than they would be with the +1 to all. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. There's a couple other cool things like Counter Mirror Code, obviously good for totems like Totem Komodo and Ultra Necrozma and all that stuff. That Wish Support is huge, Tickle, Charm. I've covered pretty much everything. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, and I'll be back for more buffs and changes coming up. Peace, y'all. Also, last thing I will say before I press stop recording is, if you have any questions about it, don't be a dick about it. Ask me and I'll be happy to answer though, but don't just, it annoys me when people just comment like stupid shit. But yeah, I appreciate you listening to this far as the video. Shout out to you. I'm only saying this at the end because people don't really listen to the end of the videos anyway. So yeah, let me know. Peace.